Well, we're joined now by Ebong Eka. He's an international business expert and founder of Economics. Welcome to our broadcast.
Thanks for
joining us on this Saturday. Tell us, what were your impressions? They left without this promising the long-standing, renewing the long-standing pledge to bolster free trade. Many people saw this coming. What are your thoughts on this?
There's no surprise that President Trump had been talking about this before when he was president-elect, leading up to even renegotiating NAFTA with Canada. So the fact that he's not necessarily into isolationism, but he does believe through his rhetoric that he wants to negotiate and have a fair deal for the U.S.
All right, what about China's currency and going into this?
It had been several years since they devalued their currency, and now that actually shocked the global markets. So as you're looking now, a lot of analysts are actually thinking that that's going to happen again. But because you see that happening, we're starting to prepare for that. A lot of the markets are starting to prepare for that. A lot of the global markets, as well as European markets, are starting to prepare for that as well.
China's economy is slowing down a little bit. This is affecting the global economic growth. A lot of talk about Brexit, and a lot of people looking at Brexit and wondering if this is going to be repeated in Europe. How is this affecting the markets?
Well, generally speaking, especially with China, especially if you devalue the currency to affect the markets. Additionally speaking, the growth has slowed, and you're seeing that through a number of factors, maybe through potential real estate issues. You're also seeing that through the middle class is growing, but also credit is also growing as well. So you don't have a lot of additional economic markets that are coming into play in that economy. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing that. As it relates to Brexit and the European markets as well, people are waiting to see what's going to happen because, again, Angela Merkel has been talking about she wants to have free trade policies and better free trade policies, but she also wants to benefit Germany.
Right.
Donald Trump wants the same for the USA. And so people are still waiting to see how Brexit's going to affect the economy in the next several months to a year.
What about the U.S., Saudi Arabia pressuring Germany to drop the idea of a financial commitment for the climate change?
Again, I'm not surprised. You saw that with President Trump. His rhetoric was pretty strong on climate change. He was actually known as a climate change denier. So the fact that language was dropped from the communique is not necessarily a surprise or a shock to anybody. But more importantly, if you look at Mick Mulvaney, who is the budget director for President Trump, he said that they believe that it's a waste of money to set aside money for climate change.
We want to talk about the Chinese G20 presidency, and the finance ministers last year called on all governments to implement this financial commitment made under the Paris deal.
Well, you're seeing that again with the Paris deal. One of the issues too is because of the rhetoric has been so strong from climate change, as well as not actually putting funds through or budgeting for climate change. China wants to have a great relationship with the U.S., and I think a lot of people believe that across the world. And so I think right now there's a lot of rhetoric is being thrown around, but when the two heads start to sit down and actually go over this, you're going to see something hammer out that actually makes sense for both parties.
This was Steve Mnuchin's first appearance. I think it went pretty well.
It did. Yeah. I mean, most people didn't expect that because, again, they think what's happening in the U.S. is a train wreck. But there are a lot of people with a lot of great experiences who are going through what needs to be done. Again, they're thinking from the perspective of the U.S., but you can't necessarily be an isolationist. You have to work with other nations. You have to work with other markets in order for the U.S. and China to go well.
All righty. Well, Ebong Eka, we certainly appreciate your time, the founder of Economics. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.